The Niños Héroes are one of the most emblematic and revered figures in the history of Mexico. Their story dates back to September 13, 1847, during the U.S. intervention in Mexico, within the framework of the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. This conflict, which resulted in the loss of nearly half of Mexico's territory, had one of its most dramatic episodes at the Battle of Chapultepec, where 6 young cadets from the military college sacrificed their lives defending the Chapultepec castle, a symbol of Mexican pride and sovereignty. These young men, known as the Niños Héroes, became patriotic legends that embody valor, honor, and sacrifice for their country. To understand the story of the Niños Héroes, it is essential to place it within the context of the Mexican-American War. This conflict had its roots in the annexation of Texas by the United States in 1845, which had been Mexican territory until it declared independence in 1836. Mexico never officially recognized Texas independence and viewed its annexation as a direct act of aggression. Additionally, there was a dispute over the territorial boundaries between Texas and Mexico, which the United States used to justify its expansion under the principle of manifest destiny, the belief that the U.S. had a divine right to expand westward. The war broke out in 1846 and quickly turned into a series of defeats for Mexico. U.S. troops, under the command of General Winfield Scott, advanced from Veracruz to the heart of the country, capturing several key cities. Scott's ultimate goal was the capital, Mexico City. To reach it, his forces needed to take the strategic fortress of Chapultepec Castle, which at the time served as the headquarters of the military college. Chapultepec Castle, located on a hill just outside Mexico City, became the last stronghold of resistance before U.S. troops could enter the capital. Although the defense of the castle was led by regular Mexican army soldiers, part of the defenders were young cadets from the military college, some of whom were no older than 15 years old. On the morning of September 13, 1847, U.S. forces launched a massive assault on the castle. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the defenders fought fiercely. Among them, 6 cadets stood out for their bravery: Juan de la Barrera, 19 years old; Agustin Melgar, 18 years old; Juan Escatilla, 20 years old; Vicente Suarez, 14 years old; Francisco Marquez, 13 years old; and Fernando Montes de Oca, 18 years old. These young men, known as the Niños Héroes, refused to surrender and defended the castle until their last breath. According to traditional accounts, one of the most remembered moments of this battle is the heroic act of Juan Escatilla, who, according to legend, seeing that the Mexican flag was about to fall into enemy hands, decided to wrap himself in it and jumped from the top of the castle to prevent the Americans from capturing it. Although historians still debate the accuracy of this story, Escatilla has become a symbol of the ultimate sacrifice for the homeland. The story of the Niños Héroes has intertwined with Mexican national mythology. While it is undeniable that these young cadets died defending Chapultepec Castle, the heroic narrative surrounding them has been subject to embellishment and patriotic exaltation over the years. For many Mexicans, the Niños Héroes represent an example of selfless sacrifice, courage, and love for the country in its most critical moment. However, some historians have pointed out that the traditional narrative has exaggerated certain aspects of the battle and the cadets' role. For instance, it has been debated whether they really jumped from the castle walls or whether the story of Juan Escatilla wrapping himself in the flag is more symbolic than factual. Despite these discussions, what remains certain is that the story of the Niños Héroes has endured as an essential part of Mexican national identity. The sacrifice of the Niños Héroes left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of Mexico. After the fall of Chapultepec, U.S. forces advanced and occupied Mexico City, which eventually led to the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. This treaty ended the war and forced Mexico to cede more than half of its territory, including what are now the states of California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, and parts of Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Despite the defeat, the Niños Héroes became symbols of the indomitable spirit of the Mexican people. In 1881, the remains of 5 of them were found and transferred to the Pillar of Independence in Mexico City, a monument built in their honor. In 1952, the majestic monument to the Niños Héroes was erected in Chapultepec, where every year on September 13, their sacrifice is commemorated with an official ceremony presided over by the President of the Republic and high-ranking military officers. Over time, the story of the Niños Héroes has been subject to various interpretations. For many, they represent a symbol of Mexican resistance against foreign intervention and imperialism, a struggle that resonates with Mexico's later experiences in its relationship with the United States and other powers. The youth of these heroes has also been highlighted, giving their story an emotional and exemplary dimension for future generations. In education and culture, the Niños Héroes have been immortalized in textbooks, films, and other media that aim to pass on their story to new generations of Mexicans. The teaching of their sacrifice in schools is part of the country's patriotic discourse, and their legacy remains a central theme in the narrative of defending national sovereignty. The story of the Niños Héroes is more than just a tale of a battle. It is a profound symbol of Mexican identity, reflecting values such as courage, sacrifice, and defense of the homeland against foreign invasion. Over the years, their legend has grown, becoming intertwined with Mexico's historical and cultural fabric, serving as an inspiration for generations who see in them an example of youthful heroism in defense of the nation. Their memory lives on, and every September 13, their story resonates in the heart of Mexico as a reminder of bravery in times of adversity.